Thank you for coming. It's good to be here. I shave my head. That's something that I do. That's like an option that you have when you're going bald. Yeah, my friend was trying to make me feel better about being bald. He's like, hey man, don't worry. Bald is in right now. Just look at The Rock. Yeah, that doesn't help me at all, actually. The Rock and I, very different people, okay? Like his name is Dwayne Johnson, but people remember him as The Rock. That's badass. My name is Steven. And people remember me as Kevin for some reason. Yeah. I get Scott a lot as well, honestly. The Rock being bald, that's like the MGM casino losing $1,000. They're going to be just fine. Me being bald, that's like the Cal Neva casino losing $1,000. Like, are they gonna make it, right? Because I got high roller status just from like using their bathroom one time. That was pretty cool. I read somewhere that balding is caused by too much testosterone. Yeah, that sounds like something a bald guy made up. Just like a scientist putting a positive spin on his flaws. He's like, yeah, it turns out high intelligence is also correlated with pancake nipples, yeah. And owning a yacht, a major risk factor for skid marks, all right. There are options, though, like you could take medication for your baldness. You could take Rogaine, and that helps you regrow hair. But one of the side effects of these medications is sexual dysfunction. Like, the whole point of having hair is to put myself in a position to demonstrate that I'm sexually functional. Like, what am I supposed to tell a woman in bed? Sorry, my dick doesn't work, but have you ever seen this much pubic hair? You don't have to ride the rides to still have fun at Busch Gardens. Yeah, could totally swing that. I ran cross country in high school. Anybody else hate getting laid? All right, yeah. Oh, man. I was constantly running away from those chicks. All right. I never felt entitled to the term jock. I never felt like I could use that term to describe myself. Like, if you guys were to see me in my high school wearing a Letterman jacket, you would not think I was a jock. You'd think I was dating a football player. You'd be like, that guy's getting fingered at homecoming. I know it. Yeah, it's going to happen for him. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't that popular. Yeah, that didn't happen. I've had a lot of crappy jobs in my life, a lot of them. My first job ever, I was 14 years old. I was a hotel housekeeper. That was the worst job. It was me and 8 Hispanic women. That was the housekeeping team. And those ladies all agreed on the fact that I was an entitled little bitch. They were united on that front. They would talk shit about me to each other, but like I could comprehend what they were saying because I took 2 years of Spanish. And they were speaking English. I was like, hey, I know what puta means. They're like, no, we said bitch, actually, yeah. Like, we wanted you to hear us, Kevin. Work on your hospital corners. I don't know how I even got that job, honestly. Like, why would you hire a They could have called my mom as like a reference. She's like, oh, you want to hire my son to clean rooms? Is this the bottle of the piss on the nightstand hotel? What is... Have you guys ever had like a job interview, but you like didn't even want the job? Yeah, that sucks. So you end up like saying things in the interview that kind of like communicate your lack of interest. You know, they're like, what separates you from the other applicants? You're like, they want the job mostly, yeah. How do you feel about working with your hands? I don't have any hands, sorry. Yeah, that's not... Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Honestly, applying for this job again. I could, like, if it's on Indeed, I will do a quick apply. Yeah. I wear glasses. They're pretty cool. Yeah. I actually did think they were cool. Yeah. My eye doctor, though, he's like trying to put me in these transition lenses. I don't know if you know what they are. Basically, when you go outside, they turn into sunglasses. And then when you come back inside after like 45 minutes, they sort of kind of turn into regular glasses again. Transition lenses are kind of like tinted windows, except with tinted windows, like you can have sex and no one will see you. And with transition lenses, you can have sex and no one will believe you. Yeah, that's the main difference there. I've been messing around with tarot cards lately. Those are fun. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing like with these things. I haven't been trained in this science, but I will give my friends like free readings, and I will just like slip in advice based on what I already know about my friends. That's my method of doing tarot card readings. I'm like, oh, the King of Swords card. You get the King of Swords. This one means you should stop doing drugs in front of your kids. Yeah. Great fortune to you if you stop doing that. Yeah. The Three of Cups card. Three of Cups. This one means that natural deodorant you've been using isn't working at all. Yeah, it says here you smell like shit, actually. It's in the stars. I was raised on a lower middle class diet of powdered Gatorade. Anybody else? Yeah. That was cool. Yeah, we'd buy all these like powdered stuff to save money, like powdered milk, powdered Nesquik chocolate as well. Which is weird because cocaine is such a rich person's drug, you know? Like when I saw cocaine for the first time, I was like, I think you're supposed to mix it in water. Yeah, that's... You shake it up and you go to cross-country practice. There you go. Keep seeing a lot of dispensaries around. I'm annoyed by that name, though. I don't like dispensary. It sounds too like fancy and professional of a sound. You know, it's a weed store. Just call it a weed store, you know? At least alcoholics still call them liquor stores, right? They're not like, after work, I stopped by the ethanol creamery. Yeah. Then we went and watched some naked ladies dance at the Lust Fulfillment Center. Yeah. Then I wagered the rest of my paycheck at the My Wife's Gonna Divorce Me gaming complex. Yeah. Haven't been drinking, though. It's been like 14 months since I had a drink, which is cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But the problem now is that like I feel like I can always like see through beer commercials, which is, you know, kind of a weird thing to do. Like Modelo, they have this new commercial. It's like Modelo, the mark of a fighter. That's their new slogan, Modelo, the mark of a fighter. I know a guy who drinks nothing but Modelos, and he didn't even fight for custody, so I don't... Yeah. Here's to you, Mr. Signed away his parental rights. This one's for the guy who never shows up late to his son's t-ball game because he doesn't show up at all. Yeah. That's good, though. I love lawyers. I love their billboards. Those are fun to look at. Saw this awesome lawyer billboard. It said, "Retain us. You don't want us against you." Yeah. Why do lawyers get to just threaten their customers like that? They're the only profession that does. You never see any other professional person do that. You never see like a prostate doctor who's like, "You are screwed if I'm not in your ass." Yeah. "You do not want me in your opponent's ass. I will rule your ass through his ass." Jensen & Johnson ass to mouth. I've also noticed that car companies now, they've been doing this thing where they name their cars after like hip US cities. Like there's the Chevy Tahoe, the Kia Sedona, the Hyundai Santa Fe. I think car companies should start naming their cars after like way less cool US cities. Like the Subaru Stockton. That car comes standard with fentanyl on the dashboard. Yeah, that's... The Kia Corpus Christi. J.D. Power and Associates recommends that car for getting drunk and driving into your own house. Yeah, that was... I also get road rage, though, like, on a certain level, and I'm also a pussy, so they don't, like, really go well together. Because, like, anytime I think about flipping someone off, I have to, like, size them up and see if I think I could take them in a fight. So I'm like, it's a woman, fuck you, yeah! Yeah, your ass is grass. Her boyfriend's in the car with her. I'm going to take this exit right here, yeah. Get a new paint job for my car. Volunteering, that's a good thing to do. I think about doing that a lot. That's cool, yeah. I could fill up a resume with all the volunteer work I've thought about doing. Oh my gosh. I thought about signing up for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Yeah. But then I realized, like, I don't even hang out with my own little brother. Like, it would suck to sign up for the Big Brothers program and then get assigned your own brother. He's like, what are we doing today? I'm like, I'm putting in for a transfer, actually. Yeah, this is... Just trying to look like a good person here. This was the whole point. I am a nice guy, though. Like, sometimes, like, random strangers will just, like, walk up to me at different places and just start, like, oversharing themselves with me. This is a true story. I was at the Humane Society volunteering to get out of a seatbelt ticket. And this other volunteer, this guy in his 40s, he came up to me just out of the blue and was like, my daughter is a veterinarian out in South Carolina. And I was like, oh, that's great, man. Like, good for her. You must be really proud of her. And then he said, she's a whore just like her mama. Yeah. And I said what you say to that, which is, oh, nice. Yeah, hell yeah. Nice. I have a lot of stock phrases for when people overshare with me. Like this lady one time, she's like, my ex-husband was into midget porn. And I was like, there you go. Really caught me off guard, though, because I don't feel like if I was in that guy's shoes, I could ever call my daughter a whore. That would just be, like, totally crazy to me. I don't know. Even worst case scenario, she could call me and ask me for a ride home from a gangbang, right? I'd go and pick her up, and on the way home, I would just say something like, the important thing is that you had fun, right? Maybe this was something you had to experience. Just like your mama, yeah. Hopefully you grow out of it. That would be cool. I was raised religious, though. That was cool. I knew that my priest was a creepy guy because, like, he taught me the wrong, like, signs of the cross. What I learned was spectacles, testicles, testicles, testicles. And if you had your wallet, you could watch. That was, like, the whole... No, I was actually raised Mormon, so, like, we have a whole different terminology. Like, we call our pedophiles bishops in that faith. Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but Mormon churches have basketball courts inside of them, which is pretty cool. Yeah, sometimes they'll do husbands versus wives. 5 on 40. Yeah, it's incredible ball movement that they got going on. If you like the Harlem Globetrotters, you got to check out the Provo Prudes sometime. That would be... I like Christian art, though, too, and it does seem like it has gone really downhill over the years. Like in the 1500s, Christian art was the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo's beautiful ceiling painting. And nowadays, Christian art is a movie called God's Not Dead 2. Yeah, that's actually a trilogy. They made 3 of it. There's God's Not Dead 2, and then they made God's Not Dead 3 and The Prisoner of Azkaban or whatever. It's an entire God's Not Dead cinematic universe. I try to be like more cultured about art because I don't know a lot about it. I'm learning more. Like I've heard, terminology, like with architecture, I've heard of like Art Deco. I don't know what that means. I've heard of it though. So like anytime I'm around smart people, I'll just like force that into the conversation. I'm like, is this Art Deco? And they're like, this is Del Taco. I don't know what you're... Yeah. I was like, well, if you rearrange Del Taco, you can kind of get Art Deco there. I was like, is this postmodern? And they're like, you're pointing at the Del Taco menu right now, so, yeah. I like to look at my favorite musicians. I like to look at their Wikipedia pages just to like see kind of who they are as people. I've noticed a lot of my favorite musicians, at some point in their lives, they converted to Islam, the religion. Yeah, like Cat Stevens, he converted to Islam. Snoop Dogg converted to Islam. T-Pain also converted to Islam. You never see country musicians convert to Islam. Because that would be weird, right? It's like women, trucks, and beer, and Allah. Hanging out at the Ramadan Inn. She's got ruby red lips, dark hair, dark eyes. She took off her shawl, and so they cut off her hands. But she thinks my tractor's sexy. A lot of successful comedians, like after comedy shows, women will come up to them and flirt with them and talk to them and stuff. And that's awesome that happens to those guys, yeah. I am at the level of comedy where I have to go up and hit on women after my own shows. I gotta be like, hey, you were great out there, laughing. When's the next time you're gonna be laughing at a comedy show? I'd love to come out for that, yeah. Do you wanna buy me a drink? I'll pay for it, no problem for me, yeah. I sometimes put my foot in my mouth, though, too. I was talking to these ladies at a bar. One of them was like, I want you to guess how old I am. And I was like, all right, I'll guess 34. She's like, are you kidding me? I can't believe you just guessed 34. I'm 30. Yeah, and then her friend piped in and was like, you should always guess younger. And I was like, I thought that's what I was doing, honestly. Yeah. I shaved off 6 years, and this is the thanks I get, yeah. As bad as I am at talking to women, though, I'm that good at making new male friends that I don't want. Right now, I'm attracting a lot of moochers who hate capitalism. That's my... Yeah. As soon as they say something like, private property is a man-made concept, that's when I know they're going to need a ride to their physical therapy appointments. Yeah. For an unspecified shoulder issue. We did steal the Native Americans' land, so you should let me sleep on your couch, yeah. There's all these terms now to describe the relationships that I've always known and loved, like toxic. Can we stop calling relationships toxic? Inhaling carbon monoxide, that's toxic, okay? My girlfriend lying about being pregnant just to test my reaction? That's love, baby. Yeah. Yeah. And I failed that test, yeah. Accidentally ingesting mercury, that's toxic. My girlfriend accusing me of wanting to have sex with her mother just because we were making polite conversation. Well, that's just a good instinct on her part, yeah, honestly. Not gonna gaslight her on that, yeah. I notice anytime I start dating someone, though, like, they'll bring up to me their ex's flaws, but, like, I have the same flaws. So it's just kind of weird, They're like, he was just like an immature teenage boy in a lot of ways. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like it. Hey, I'm going to be gone the next 2 weeks for a fantasy football draft. Yeah, it's a destination draft. We'll be in Costa Rica. I took out a loan on my credit card to pay for it, so, yeah. See you soon. Relationships are hard, though. That's a fact. I used to think that the actor Mel Gibson was crazy because he would call and berate his wife over the phone, and she would record it and leak it online. It sounded bad. He's like, don't hang up that phone. I've got enough energy to come over there right now, and I will. Ah! And I thought he was crazy, and then I got into a relationship, and I was like, I think he handled that pretty well, actually. Yeah. He took deep breaths. He gave her advance notice he was coming over. Like, he didn't say anything about the Jews this time. Like, that's progress for him. I've noticed as I've gotten older, though, like, my sexual fantasies have gotten softer. This has just been weird. It's my, like, early 20s. I had great sexual fantasies, sexual conversations. Be like, yeah, why don't you fucking come over here right now and I'll bend you over. You fucking love that, wouldn't you? Yeah, I'll bend your ass right over this table right here. Not this table because the leg's a little wobbly, but I'll bend you right over these granite countertops. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Now I'm 34 years old. I'm like, why don't you fucking come over here and I'll kiss you. Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you? Give you a little kiss. Yeah, after that, we'll go for a walk around the marina. I know you love that shit. After that, we'll go to Target, get a gift for your brother's wedding. You love that, wouldn't you dirty fucking whore? Yeah. And that kid you have from that other relationship, I want to raise that kid. I want to raise your kid, you little slut. And I don't want to step on his real dad's toes either, because I want that guy to be involved too. Little bitch. Your pussy's gonna be so wet when I instill structure into this kid's life that's lacking in so many of today's young men. I'm gonna take your kid fishing, you little skank. You guys have been there, right? Yeah. Yeah? All right. You got to figure out your type, though. That's an important thing. You don't want to go outside too much of your type, I think. I figured out my type finally. It's white girls who only date black guys. Yeah, that's. Oh man, I love them. Yeah, and they love my friend Brandon. So, and Brandon loves having sex with them and telling me about it, and I actually love listening to that. So it all kind of works out. Brandon has this ridiculous sexual confidence that I just don't even get. It's not even registering on my level. We were hanging out one time, and this woman with a big ass walked by with her boyfriend, and Brandon just pointed at the guy, and he's like, he's not hitting that right. I would never have the confidence to say something like that. To me, he's probably hitting it just fine, really. He's probably crushing it, really. But he's got that confidence, and I feel like he deserves it. I feel like if he were to watch me have sex, it would be as frustrating for him as if I were to watch my grandma use an iPad. He's like, just let me do it! Been seeing a lot of perverts on social media. That's been cool. They like to comment on women's posts. It's always the same thing. It'll be a picture of a woman sitting on a couch, and there'll be some comments from her friends. It's looking good, Jess. We miss you, Jess. And then the social media pervert's I wish that couch was my face. Tag me in, couch. That's a level of perversion that is pretty high when you're just wanting to substitute yourself in for an inanimate object that's coming into contact with a woman. You're I want to be the elevator that you farted in at US Bank. That would make my day. All right. Some of you are on board with that. That's cool. Yeah. I think some of you are no, I think you're that pervert. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Went to San Francisco recently. That's a cool city. I visited. Yeah. That's how you know you're in Reno, when that just gets a laugh. I do like San Francisco. I visited their first ever gender-neutral bathroom, the Street. Yeah, they let anybody use that there. It's pretty progressive. I actually saw someone who was transitioning from shitting to masturbating. They were right in that gender bodily fluid situation. I think we're too hard on trans women, though, personally. They get a lot of shit. I think trans women are kind of like Asian fusion restaurants. At first people are they need to decide what they are. But then once you're inside of one, you're turns out kimchi fries are pretty good, actually. Yeah. I will order around for the table. That would be cool. I don't get into politics with my comedy. I don't really care much about it. I do notice that when I turn on the news, though, it seems like Republicans are getting shit on a lot, which seems excessive. I don't have any problem with Republicans. Some of my best stepdads are Republican. Yeah. Both of my parents actually very Republican. Their last 3 votes were Trump, and Yellowstone for best TV show. I don't pay attention to current events or foreign policy or anything like that. The last news story about that I paid attention to was when the Taliban took over Afghanistan. This was 3 years ago. It was kind of a big story at the time. I remember seeing it because it was a Yahoo News article, and it was a picture of Joe Biden from when he was still alive. And then it was an article about how the Taliban, they only drive Toyota trucks. That was the focus of the article. I didn't know that. That's Crazy. That's all they'll drive, Toyota Tacomas, their whole fleet. That's hilarious to me, like when someone who's like totally crazy is also super normal, you know? Like the same guy who's like, I will cut off an infidel's head is also like, I need a truck that holds its value. Yeah, that's important. I trust two things in this world, the word of Allah and Kelly Blue Book. I got JD Power and Associates and Kelly Blue Book into this set, just so you know. I'm kind of impressed with that because I don't know anything about cars, so. It's kind of hard though, because like if you own a company, sometimes shitty people are going to use your business. That's just something that happens. Like I think about that with the garbage bag company Hefty. Because like anytime there's like a murder and a body washes up in a garbage bag in some river somewhere, Hefty Bag Company has to come out and be like, yeah, this was a terrible tragedy, but that bag maintained its integrity, okay? There were no elbows popping out of that bag, I assure you. If you saw elbows popping out, it was a Glad bag, okay? That's... No, I'm having fun. Yeah, this is good. You guys are a good crowd. This is nice. I mean, you're all my friends, so hopefully... Yeah. It would be nice, right? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I like to watch these serial killer documentaries and stuff, though. Ted Bundy, he's always getting put on those. I don't know if you guys know who Ted Bundy was. He was a serial killer. He killed a bunch of people in Washington, Oregon, and Utah. And at the end of his life, he blamed all of his bad decisions on porn. Which is bullshit, because I've watched porn. I've never moved to Utah. Yeah, it does not make you do that. Watch a lot of those shows, though. There's a lot of the same kind of themes, same stories you see kind of over and over again. I always see the murder-suicide happening. And it made me think, like, you always see, like, a murder-suicide, but you never hear about the guy who was planning a murder-suicide, but then, like, just didn't follow through with the suicide. Like, after the murder, he was like, that actually did the trick for me, yeah. I thought I hated myself too, but it was just my family, actually, yeah. This kind of worked out, yeah. I saw a guy wearing a trench coat recently. That was unsettling. People still wear these. Because there's only two things you're going to do if you're in a trench coat, right? If history says anything. You're either going to harm your classmates or you're going to expose yourself to strangers, which is the way better option of those two things, right? Like, that's a sad state of affairs that when I saw that guy in the trench coat, my first thought was, please show me your dick. I just want to see your dick and eat Del Taco one last time. That would be awesome. You guys remember the pop musician George Michael? Remember that guy? He had the song Gotta Have Faith. He was a great pop musician from the 80s. He was a gay guy, and he had a lot of hits in the 80s and 90s, and in the 2000s he got famous again because he solicited sex in a public bathroom, and it ended up being like a police officer in there. It was a sting operation. Yeah. How do the police have time for this? Like, I don't think that we should defund the police, okay? But I do think that we should defund the police who are hanging out in bathroom stalls with their penis through a hole, waiting for George Michael to blow them. Like, I do think that we could have social workers do that job. I don't know. I feel like... Call me a libtard, but... I'm a godparent. That's the level of responsibility I'm at, though, and that's a big responsibility. Okay, there's like a birthday for this kid every year. It seems like. I think they're milking it. A lot of people don't know what being a godparent actually entails. Basically, what it really involves is that if anything were to happen to his real parents, I would be the one who has to find someone else to take care of him. Yeah. And I don't take that lightly, honestly. I like history. I remember one of my favorite history lessons that I learned was when I was taught about the World War II bombs that we had dropped on Japan. And how we named them Little Boy and Fat Man. Yeah, that was a great history lesson to learn. Like, those bombs really fucked Japan up. But it sounds like we had fun naming them. I don't know, right? I think it's a little disrespectful to name the bombs. Like, I'm not anti-war or anything, but it's kind of just like rubbing it in a little bit. Like, we would hate that as Americans. Like, if Osama bin Laden named the planes that flew into the two towers, he's like, I named them Ren and Stimpy. I thought that you guys would think that that's hilarious. It was a callback, yeah. All right. We had a house divided on that joke. I remember hearing about when we took down Osama. That was a great moment for Americans, honestly. It was, I feel like everyone kind of came together around that. But then I found out like how they got Osama. Basically, they crashed into his barrack, and he was in there watching porn and masturbating. And that's when they took him out. And as an American, like, that was awesome. But as like someone who was once 15, I was thinking they could have knocked, you know? Like, I could empathize with the vulnerability that he must have been feeling in that moment. Okay. That was too far. Like, you're too empathetic there. Do you guys think porn is ruining men? No. No? Okay. I know the guy who said that, and I didn't think it was ruining men, but now I kind of do. No, I'm just joking. My aunt said that porn is ruining men. I don't buy that. It's ruining men's computers, I'll admit that, like, no problem. I ruin the family computer constantly. Like, my mom had to buy these reboot CDs to get rid of the viruses and reset the computer to factory reset or whatever. Yeah. To my credit, it turned my mom into an IT professional. Porn is not ruining men. It's creating STEM jobs for women, I think. She was Wozniak. I was Steve Handjobs. I told her that the viruses were from me downloading music, like that was my alibi. To this day, she thinks Bang Bros is an early 2000s hip-hop group. Porn genres have gotten outrageous, though. There's just too many of them. Some of them don't even make sense. Small penis porn, that's like a genre. Yeah, there's actually a site called tinydicktube.com. Not a very creative name, but StubHub was taken, so. I actually visited tinydicktube.com for this joke. My first thought was, these aren't even that small. Is this some kind of joke? Just letting anyone on tinydicktube, I guess. I haven't been to a strip club in like 12 years. That's been a good run. You do it, when you're in your like early 20s or whatever, you experiment with that. I was like a Karen at strip clubs though, I was like, that was not a full song! I want to talk to your manager or pimp or maitre d' or whoever the guy in the corner is. Strippers will just want to get you to do anything. They're like, hey, how about you buy the bartender a drink? And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, buy the guy who has all the alcohol right in front of him a drink. Yeah, I'll do that for you though. That's cool. Do you also want me to buy some food for the cooks? You want me to also get a new mixing board for the DJ if you guys need me to do that too. I'm at the age in life though where I'm kind of at like a pivotal crossroads. I have to decide, do I want to have my own kids or do I want to get a vasectomy? That's an important decision that guys have to face sometimes. But vasectomy sounds so daunting, I think. I think a lot more guys would be warm to the idea of a vasectomy if they stopped marketing it as a vasectomy and started marketing it as bottomless raw dogs. Because if a vasectomy sounds like a life-altering medical procedure, bottomless raw dogs, that sounds like the Red Robin promotion we all really wanted, right? Yeah. I don't know. I've never had a threesome. Anybody disbelieve that? All right. Yeah. No? All right. I feel like if I were to have one, though, I would want it to be like one woman and two guys, just for the extra help. Like she could be like a baseball manager bringing in a relief pitcher, you know, like, look, Steve, it's not working tonight. We're gonna go with Ramirez the rest of the way. And then I hand her Ramirez's balls and they finish the game. That's because if it's just me and two women, like that's not double the pleasure for me. That's a panic attack, really. My friend's like, you were with two chicks at the same time? I'm like, yeah, one of them was whispering in my ear, you're not gonna die. While the other one was riding me to urgent care. Yeah, it was a triage a trois, I think. You guys are a good crowd, though. I feel like I like this. This is, you give me a realistic output on certain jokes. We're doing some new material out here, too. Because we don't like courtesy laughs as comedians. Courtesy laughs, they're like the fake orgasms of everyday life. You're mimicking something pleasurable so that someone else feels better about themselves. What I hate, though, is when I get a courtesy laugh when I should be getting a fake orgasm. I'm like, are you almost there? And she's like, ha! That's hilarious. And I can always tell if it's a courtesy laugh, because if it's a real laugh, semen comes out of her nose, right? Yeah, that's... I've done some online dating these days. That's kind of what you have to do. But it sucks, because you have to be, like, annoyingly clever when you do online dating. Everyone's always being super clever. Like, this woman messaged me. She was like, dating me is like COVID. I'll take your breath away. Yeah, that's annoyingly clever. But I came back with, dating me is like AIDS. I'm not as bad as I used to be. Thank you guys so much. I'm Steven Dente. Keep it going for yourselves. Love you guys. Thank you.